Thank y'all very much. I appreciate that. Well, thank y'all so much for coming out here. This is a great crowd. I want to thank Jeff and Bobby and Derek for helping push this out, get people here. I know there's a lot of people from Hall County, obviously, and other people that are close by, so this is fantastic, especially before the workday ends. So makes us feel very humbled with your presence. Great to have Marty and the girls. This is Jarrett, our oldest, Amy Porter, the youngest, and Lucy's the middle child. I hadn't seen Lucy in over a week. She's been off it. She left end of last week, went to basketball camp, and I left last Sunday and didn't get home till this past Sunday night. So I haven't seen Lucy in probably a week, I guess. So
where's Jake?
Jake is in hiding right now. The other campaign is trying to pay more money to hire him, which they can do. That was a joke. But I'm glad to have Marty and the girls with me. They have been working extremely hard. They are being, as we've talked about, hashtag Kemp strong, because the Republican primary runoff gets tough, you know, and it should be. You need like Bubba said, you need a candidate that has good fortitude, good values, that will do the right thing when no one is watching. And they're working hard for me. We're dividing and conquering a lot of times, with them handling some events and me going to others. And Amy Porter and all three of the girls have been in the office at times with me in Atlanta, working in the campaign office. So they're working extremely hard, and obviously you can see they're a valuable asset to me. You know, I got up here, this just shows you how extremely busy we are. But I got up here, I turned around, and I saw Bubba McDonald sitting over there, and I walked over there and I said, Bubba, I didn't know you were here. You can come up and join us. We'd be honored by your presence. And I kept on, and he let me keep on, and then he goes, I'm introducing you. And I was like, okay. I know, but we're on Facebook Live, so I'm not going to say what you said. Because I say the same thing I'll say to you even if you were recording that conversation. But now that we got all that out of the way, I want to really thank you guys for coming out today, showing your support up here in Hall County. I have a lot of history here and in this part of the state before I ever got involved in politics. I tell people a lot of times, you know, before I ever thought about running for office, I was a father, obviously, to these three teenage daughters, a wife, and I was husband, whatever. This is what happens when you live with 4 women in your house. What was I supposed to say? No, I'm just kidding. Y'all get the point. But I'm just a hard-working guy. And literally when I was in college, I was working for an acoustical ceiling company, and we'd leave Athens every morning at 7 o'clock. And we were going to Hall County, we were going to White County, and all around this area doing, for people that remember the old Big G, the girls give me a hard time because every time we go into Cleveland, I was like, I used to work on that big store. It used to be a Big G, and they're like, what is Big G? But we worked up there. We worked on a lot of Hall County schools in the summer when they were rehabbing them. And so I've driven these roads for a long time and know this country. I've worked at the Cargill plant when I started my first construction company, literally, you know, digging ditches, tying steel, pouring concrete when they were running a new electrical service into that building, you know, wearing hard hat, safety glasses, steel-toed boots. So I know the value of hard work. Mike Hall and his son Philip and their grandson are here today. Mike Hall probably worked for me for probably 20 years, I guess. Mike, we've been as far south as Statesboro, all kind of stuff around Athens. He has, you know, worked when we built our home when Marty was pregnant with Jarrett. So he has literally seen these girls grow up, and he's seen, quite honestly, the good times and the bad times that we've all gone through when you're in that business and the ups and downs of being a small business person and a working Georgian. And that is exactly why I'm running for governor. We need a governor that is going to put you all, that is going to put Georgians first over the special interests, the status quo, the politically correct, and those that are here illegally. And that is literally why I'm running. And it's why I ran the first time as that small business owner that, you know, first time Mike Hall ever saw me, I probably had shorts and a tool belt on. And a hat, yeah. Well, I just grew frustrated with the government, regulations, taxes, not having good common sense involved in state government, and I decided to do something about it, running against a liberal Democrat in a district nobody thought I could win. And that is what's driven me ever since. 4 years in the state Senate where I learned a lot about the legislative branch, returning back home for 3 years where I got back to reality in the private sector, which sometimes you lose when you stay in the Capitol too much. And I really told myself then, if I ever run for office again, I'm going to make a commitment to myself and to my family and to the people that I want to represent, that if I ever get back in office again, I'm going to do a very simple thing. And that is, I'm going to tell them what I'm going to do when I'm campaigning. And when I get in there, by gosh, that is exactly what I'm going to do. And I think anybody that knows me that has looked at my record over the years in the legislature and as Secretary of State know that I have fulfilled those promises, or that I have dang well tried to do it and put Georgians first. And a lot of that time, it's not showboating. It's a workhorse, not a show horse. Moving the needle to make state government smaller and more efficient by moving off antiquated systems, privatizing part of that, saving millions of dollars and getting a better result out of it. Streamlining our agency so we get more productivity out of our people. Measuring every single thing that we do in our office every day, whether it's the number of phone calls that we get, we're getting one now. The number of phone calls that we get, how many people are on hold, how long it takes us to license somebody to get them into the workforce. All those type things we're measuring, so we're holding ourselves accountable. Reducing our budget at one point 25%, having 30% less people, but figuring out a way to use technology to do more work, which is what Republicans always talk about. And it's what we should be doing. And that's what we've done. And that's the exact same thing I want to do as your governor. And people can trust me to do that. I think this runoff is literally come down. The candidates, the issues. The question is, who do you trust to actually do what they're telling you? Who do you trust? And who's got the record that you can trust that's done it before? And that's my message to people. When I tell them that I want to make Georgia #1 for small business by taking that chainsaw that Jake and I were talking about so much and cutting government regulations. Implementing a spending cap. So we budget conservatively, fund the things that we need to fund, and then we have money left over to do things like we need to do in Georgia. And one of them is continuing to lower our state income tax or increase deductions so we decrease the tax burden on Georgia families and working Georgians. And we're in a position right now to do that. Because the governor has left us in a great spot with the rainy day fund, so we're poised to do that. He's also worked really hard to make Georgia the #1 state in the country for small business, so it's going to be easy not to just take credit for that, which he has done, and I certainly did, worked hard to do our part of that in the Secretary of State's office and support him whenever asked to do that, but also build off of his legacy and take it to the next level. Because you're not voting for somebody to keep the status quo. You're voting for somebody to take us from where we are today, which is a really good spot, to another better spot tomorrow. And that's what good leaders do. We need to make sure that no matter where you live in this state, that you have the same opportunities as everybody else. To me, that starts with access to high-speed internet. I talked to a farmer today down in around the Tifton area, Fitzgerald area, and he was talking about rural broadband and some of the initiatives that are going on, and somebody had come down there to see it and he was talking to him about it. And he said, look, it's a big issue. The feds are wanting us to e-verify for immigration, but we don't have good internet connectivity to be able to to do the E-Verify. So, I mean, that's the kind of things you're facing out in rural Georgia. So it starts with that. Then if you have that, you can have new technology, creative, innovative technology that expands access to care when you think about health care, when you think about virtual classrooms, virtual learning, robotic surgery, whatever it is. We've got to move the needle there. We need to also have people that have that kids that live there, and kids and grandkids that are growing up in these communities need to have economic opportunities, or at least have them close by, so they're not having to move away to go find a job. And that's what's happening now. Certainly don't have a problem if they do move away, if that's what they want to, but they shouldn't have to. So we need to focus on that, and I will do that as governor. And that's why I have a plan to strengthen rural Georgia and make it a focus of that. It's not taken away from any of the other issues that are facing Northeast Georgia, because you all know that the poultry industry and agriculture is huge still in this area. And it is where I live in Athens. The Senate district I used to represent always was in the top 5 in farm gate value for the whole state. And I'm involved in a lot of those type businesses myself, so I understand that. But there are big issues here that we need to tackle when you think about traffic on 985, widen that to open up freight corridors and better movement of not only people, but goods and services. The governor has really focused on inland ports with the one up in Murray County, and we certainly have the one in Tift County. I have been an advocate for us and will continue to support the transportation initiatives that will expand that in other parts of our state. I think this area, either 985, 85, but somewhere up north on the east side of the state is a natural for that to help alleviate truck traffic going into Atlanta. But also just having someone that's going to fight for all these counties that are up here that really mean so much to our state's economy. And I know them well, and I'm not far from them in Athens. And I will do that. And I think anybody that knows me knows that I'm a very accessible person when it comes to listening to issues and concerns in the local community. But the fourth point is one I've already made, and that is just having a governor that's going to put you first ahead of the special interests. And I think that's why you're here. It's why so many of our grassroots leaders are here. I'm not going to get into calling names, but you know who you are. We know who you are. We know you're out there putting signs up. You're putting them up where they take them down or somebody steals them for the second time. You're doing push cards, you're doing phone banking. And a lot of people here, quite honestly, are just quietly talking to their friends and neighbors. And we are completely fine with that. Because on January, that's when I get sworn in. No, I'm just kidding. We don't want to put the cart before the horse. On July 24th, Hall County is going to be counting, the elections office is going to be counting the votes, not how much money one candidate or another had. And my goal is to have one more vote than the other guy. And I promise, if you make me your nominee, I will work relentlessly to do what Bubba McDonald said, because he is absolutely right. This will be an election. If you thought the Handel-Ossoff race was bad, wait till this one. 40,000 donors on the other side already. 40,000. I haven't verified this, but I believe the top 2 states are New York and California. That is what we're going to be facing. This race is going to be about the soul and the values of our state and where we go from here. And I would be honored to be your nominee, and I will win that election in November, and I will put you first as your governor. So please continue to help us. Take a yard sign, get us votes. However you can work, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank y'all for being here.